It begins with a single knock, the kind that doesn't belong in quiet evenings. A man opens the door, and with it, every certainty in his life begins to crumble. A stranger. A silent exchange. An envelope holding a truth he never knew existed. A face identical to his, caught committing crimes he can't remember, or refuses to. When identity fractures and shadows walk freely, who is the real villain? And who is the real victim? Tonight, we dive into a chilling psychological mystery, of a man hunted by the darkest version of himself. It started with a knock on the door. Just a single, firm rap that seemed out of place in the quiet evening. Jason Reed had just returned from work, the smell of coffee still lingering in his kitchen. He wasn't expecting anyone, and the sudden sound made his stomach tighten. When he opened the door, a man stood there in a dark jacket, holding a folded envelope. He didn't introduce himself. He simply handed it over, eyes cold, unreadable, then disappeared into the night. Inside the envelope was a photograph and a note. The photo was grainy, taken from across a street. It showed a man who looked exactly like Jason, walking out of a convenience store with a small bag clutched in his hand. The note was brief: "You need to remember. You've been busy." Jason's heart raced. He had no memory of that day, that store, or that bag. And yet, the man in the photo was him, or someone who could pass for him perfectly. The next few days were surreal. Messages arrived on social media accounts Jason didn't remember creating. Cryptic instructions, reminders, demands. Meeting at 11. Don't be late. Check your shipment. The package is ready. At first, he thought someone had stolen his identity. But the style, the timing, the phrasing, it felt familiar, like it knew him intimately. Then came the videos. Short clips of minor crimes, break-ins, thefts, even petty assaults. At first, he ignored them. But then one night, curiosity forced him to look. And there he was, or someone identical. The way he moved, the tilt of his head, the rhythm of his steps. Each act deliberate, practiced, as if the man had done this before 1,000 times. Jason recoiled. He had no memory of these actions, but the reflection on the screen was undeniable. He went to the police, hoping for clarity. Detectives listened, nodding politely, before showing him footage. Multiple cameras from different angles. His face. His gait. His hands. The evidence was damning. "Are you sure this isn't a deepfake?" Jason asked, voice shaking. The detective shook her head. "We've checked. Multiple angles, multiple cameras. This is real footage. Someone who looks exactly like you is committing these crimes." Jason left the station in a daze, the city suddenly feeling too large, too foreign. He stopped sleeping. Every mirror became a potential trap. Every reflection a question. Could he really have done these things and not remembered? Could a version of himself exist in secret, living a life he didn't know he had? The answer arrived in an email at 3:14 a.m. The subject line read, "Meet me now." Coordinates led him to a warehouse on the outskirts of the city. Fear and curiosity collided as he drove through empty streets, the headlights cutting through fog. Inside, the warehouse was dim, flickering bulbs casting long shadows. At a table sat a man who looked exactly like Jason, hunched over photos, documents, and a laptop. He looked up and smiled, unnervingly calm. "Jason," he said. Not as a greeting, but as a statement. "I've been waiting for you." Jason's knees almost buckled. What are you?" The man leaned back, fingers steepled. "I am what you become when no one is looking. I am free. I am you." And suddenly it all made sense. The late nights he couldn't remember, the adrenaline, the brief flashes of strange streets, unfamiliar faces. He had thought it stress or exhaustion. But it wasn't. It was this. A double life he had no control over. Why? Jason whispered. Why are you doing this? The other Jason tilted his head. Because you're safe when it's me. You have your life, your routines, your comforts. I take care of the rest. The crimes, the manipulations, they have purpose. They correct mistakes, punish those who deserve it, retrieve what's lost. And no one suspects a thing. Jason shook his head. The pieces were horrifying. Every act, every theft, every assault had a logic only this other version of him understood. And it had been going on for months, maybe years. He ran. Through the empty warehouse, out into the night. Cold air burned his lungs. But the sense of being watched followed him. He knew it wasn't paranoia. The other him was always there, always present. Jason tried to reclaim his life. He changed passwords, locked doors, ignored messages. But they kept coming. Footage appeared online. Packages arrived on his porch. The other him was patient, precise, persistent. He sought therapy, exploring dissociative identity disorder, blackouts, memory lapses. Sessions were grueling. Memories returned in fragments, flashes of streets he didn't know, faces he didn't recognize, small crimes he had no recollection of committing. Even as professionals tried to ground him, the terror persisted. Late nights brought new messages, "You're getting better at hiding. But remember, I never sleep." Jason realized the horrifying truth, this wasn't just a psychological disorder. He shared a body with a predator, one who looked exactly like him. One who knew his life, his habits, his fears, and had learned to exploit them. One morning, he found his front door ajar. Nothing was missing. But on the table lay a black, featureless mask, staring back at him. And he knew. The other him was watching. Always. Even after moving cities, changing names, trying to start fresh, Jason could not escape. Every quiet moment, he sensed movement behind him, the faintest echo of footsteps, a whisper of presence. The other him had no need for sleep, no end to patience, no limits. Sometimes, in mirrors, he would catch a glimpse of a shadow that wasn't quite his own. Eyes sharper, darker, assessing. Judging. Waiting. Jason lives now in a fragile rhythm of routines and fear. Always alert. Always questioning. And sometimes, late at night, when he whispers, "Are you gone?" the silence is the only answer. Until a movement in the corner of his eye, and a faint, impossible smile in the reflection that isn't his own, reminds him, he never really is alone.